Well, here we are, folks. Look at the glorious day we've got for it as well. And Sue's really excited. You can tell. There, I say be excited. Well, good morning, folks. Welcome to this mini trip. We're here in the little village of Woodall Spa, and last night we stayed here at the Petwood Hotel, which was fantastic. What happens that in the Second World War, this place was the headquarters of 617 Squadron, aka the Dambusters. And today we're going to get up close and personal with a Lancaster bomber. So I can't wait. So let's get on the road. We arrived at the hotel the previous day after a 3-hour ride through horrendous rain, so it wasn't worth filming any of that. Still, we had woke up to a beautiful day. So today we're off to the Lincolnshire Aviation Heritage Centre, which is based upon a 1940s RAF Lancaster Bomber Airfield, and the only place in the country where you can have the kind of experience we're going to have today. And it was only a 24-minute short ride from the hotel. Well, here we are, folks. Look at the glorious day we've got for it as well. Look, we've got sun shining and we're all geared up for our Lancaster Bomber Experience. And Sue's really excited. You can tell. Yeah, I say be excited. During the briefing, we were told which group we were going to be in. There's a morning taxi ride and an afternoon one. I was in the afternoon one, so that gave us an opportunity to look around the museum before lunch. This is it, Barnes Wallace's bouncing bomb. What have we got here?
Oh, look at this. It's like a little ploughman's thing.
Ploughman's lunch.
With meat and pickle and onions. Chocolate cake.
Cake.
Oh.
Apple.
Bottle of water.
Oh, perfect.
Or gin. And utensils.
How are the World War II rations going?
Rations? Well, the rations are alright actually.
Where's the spam though?
No spam.
And is that proper chocolate cake or is it?
It is pretty good chocolate cake actually. Yeah, any sugar?
Well, here we are, folks. This is it. Before we boarded the plane, we were all asked what our preference would be as to where we'd like to sit. Obviously, most people opted to sit near the pilot, but unfortunately only one person could do that, so we had to draw lots as to where we ended up. So I thought if I couldn't be near the pilot, I'd rather be tail end Charlie, the rear gunner.
Lavatory, non-flushable. This is a 4-pint pot in a metal cage with a wooden lid. Notice I did not mention a seat. You must make sure the lid is secure at all times, otherwise when we take off, it's going to make a bit of a mess. Not only that, your rear gunner would have used it as a step up to get on the back. So if you've left the lid open, Lawrence will literally put his foot in it. It would not be a great start to the mission. Lawrence would now be closing a pair of metal doors behind his back from inside the turret called the blast doors. They've got 2 jobs. Number 1 is to stop Lawrence falling out when he turns the turret round. You don't want to get to Germany to find you've lost him in the North Sea. No. More importantly, they are there to stop little bits of Lawrence coming back in again should the turret become compromised. I can't have Lawrence clogging up the moving parts. On his way to the tail, he would have closed a second set of doors called the draft doors. The draft doors also have 2 jobs. Number one is to limit the circulation of cold air. You can see there are gaps and holes everywhere. This thing leaks like a sieve when it rains, trust me.
Yes.
Secondly, they are your fire doors, made of balsa wood. It is a bit of a design feature, admittedly. They have a 90-second burn-through time.
What?
Your rear gunner would be in the turret anywhere between 6 to 11 hours at a time. He is the first man off the ground, last man down, and he's only allowed out on 3 occasions. Number one, we all make it back in time for breakfast. Number two, at the express permission of the pilot, Lawrence can go to the facilities. But if the pilot says no, then I'm afraid Lawrence goes where he sits. That will warm him up nicely for a couple of seconds before it then freezes to him for the rest of the trip. A lot of the boys at the back here carry milk bottles with them, which they will then deposit over enemy territory later. Finally, evacuation. On the order to bail out, the first thing Lawrence does, he opens the metal doors behind his back. He would then reach back into the fuselage with his left hand, and from the box which would have been fitted on the side, he would remove the parachute that he placed there on the way down. The only man on board who wears a parachute is the pilot. He sits on it. The rest of us, they are all stowed on the starboard side of the aircraft next to your position, ready for when you need them, and ours go on the front. Once Lawrence has his parachute on, he gets back into the turret. He will then turn that turret fully left or right till the open doors are facing out past one of the tails. And then all he has to do is flip himself out backwards, pulling the parachute ripcord as he goes. Because there's nothing can possibly go wrong, is there?
Absolutely not.
However, what if the turret doesn't move? The hydraulics are frozen because of the temperature, or they've been cut by enemy fire. In which case, Lawrence, there's only one way out, sir. Mind your head all the way back to us on your bottom, please. Now, bearing in mind he's cold and stiff, he's been sat down there for hours and it's pitch black. He's got to get the wooden doors open. We're tumbling through the sky, we're on fire and we're being shot at. And that little ramp he's sitting on would not have been. Now, in theory, Lawrence had 4 seconds to do that. He would have practiced it blindfold hundreds of times, adrenaline would kick in. And don't forget, Lawrence is a young man of 19 or 20 years old. To get out now, he would open the door and lie on his stomach in the doorway, allowing the tumbling momentum of the aircraft to throw him out, but more importantly, down. That's the tail. If you go out the door upright, you will not drop far enough before the tail comes forward and hits you. And a lot of men suffered serious injuries, including broken backs. Right, Mark, in a moment, you're going to sit at this end, you're going to be facing forward. Just swing yourself around.
Here we go. This is crazy. Look at this. This is like a motorbike handlebar.
Office receiving you loading clear also, LSO out. Break. Drone crew, this is LSO, radio check over.
LSO, you're clear, have we?
Ground crew receiving you loading clear also, LSO out. Right.
This is unbelievable. Stuck in here for 11 hours. Minus 20. Good God. What if you want to pee? Or worse? God, it's cold already. And we're at about 3 feet off the ground. Imagine at 20,000 feet, 25,000 feet, where it gets to something like minus 20. God. I'll tell you what, you're claustrophobic. You're pretty screwed in here. After about 3 or 4 runs up and down the runway, the pilot comes to a halt, puts the brakes on and ramps up the engines to almost full power so you can get a real feeling for how powerful these 4 Merlin engines are. People who volunteer for this, particularly this, were incredibly brave. Incredibly brave.
Right, Petwood, come on, Dave.
After we finished our run, we all got a chance to get up and sit in the cockpit and get a bird's eye view of what it must have been like to pilot such an incredible plane.
We'll get everyone from the pilot seat, have a photo with Alan if you so wish. Everyone can come down to the bomb aimers. There's a little bit of moving around, but whilst we're doing that, we'll have a talk about the airplane itself, Lancasters in general, the crew positions, and maybe what it was like for the guys and sort of the people they were. So first things first, well done for getting up here. You'll have all stood outside earlier and realised, what a massive aeroplane, isn't it great? And then you come inside and suddenly all that space has disappeared. I can explain that very simply indeed. From this point here, all the way back to the mid-upper where you stepped up, we're on top of the bomb bay. So this aircraft was designed as a heavy bomb.
This Lancaster bomber, Just Jane, is only one of 4 Lancasters remaining in the UK, and this is one of only 3 in the world that can move under its own power. The Lincolnshire Aviation Heritage Centre is not only the only place in Europe you can get on board this iconic aircraft, but it's the only place you can have a tail-down taxi ride. Whichever way you look at it, it's bloody uncomfortable. So after a truly memorable day and a unique experience, it was time to head back to the hotel. On the ride back, you couldn't help but reflect on the experiences of those aircrew, those young aircrew in 1943, and what they must have been feeling every time they climbed into that bomber, wondering whether they were actually going to return, night after night after night. And during the whole of the Second World War, 53,000 aircrew didn't return. A very sobering thought. So here we are, folks, and we've got some glorious weather. Didn't get a chance to show you the hotel yesterday when we arrived. Welcome to the Petwood Hotel. And here we are, room 232, which, as you can see, is lovely, big,
Very spacious.
very bright, massive bed, storage for all our gear, and without asking, there's a fan, ironing board, the usual stuff you have to go down and ask for if you need it.
Nice big bathroom. Huge tub, which I will be filling any minute now.
Oh yeah, that's excellent. Big bath for two, so there's no tap end if you're that way inclined, and a shower. And of course we've got a room with a view. You probably just about spot the bikes down there. So what do you think?
Oh, it's lovely, really is.
Yes, massive big bed. In fact, it's so big, but it's so bouncy. You feel like you're on a waterbed when you turn over in the night.
Which you do a lot.
Yes, okay. But what a great room. Plenty of space to spread out. And so far, this hotel looks fantastic. Anyway, we'll go down, we'll check out beer o'clock very shortly. We're going to have a soak in the tub first and go and check out the food and drink and the history that surrounds this place, which is amazing. So we'll check it later. And here we are, this is the bar at the Petwood.
Are you guys here together?
And they were rolling too.
Yeah, so they would have... And this must be the officers' mess. Well, Guy Gibson and everybody else has come for drinks after the sorted. Look at that, dam busters. At only 24 years old, Wing Commander Guy Gibson was the first commanding officer of 617 Squadron. He was awarded the Victoria Cross, the highest award for gallantry, and completed 170 sorties before being killed in action at the age of only 26.
What are you drinking?
A pint of bomber. What else?
Excellent.
Well, that was an amazing day. And the truth is, we could have stayed in a closer pub called the Red Lion, which is about 5 minutes away from the airfield.
No. I think this is more important.
I specifically wanted to be here because I wanted to be in this room, the original officers' mess, where Guy Gibson and the rest of those amazing brave pilots used to come and have a beer when they were doing the training. It's steeped in history.
If they decided after several sorties that emotionally they couldn't face it anymore, I guess today we'd call it PTSD or anxiety. What happened then?
And then they were similarly discharged from the RAF, and stamped on the record was LMF, low moral fibre, which means they were accused of being spineless and cowards.
So they never got a job again?
And they probably wouldn't work again because it's on your record. They'll live with that for the rest of their life. And the fact that they'd gone through hell and back, and that's how they were treated, is just appalling. And again, now they call it PTSD and you get counselling, but not in those days.
The temperatures got to minus 40 degrees and you wore 9 layers of clothing.
Yeah.
9 layers. one of which was an electric jacket, which shorted out at about -20.
And if you wanted to pee, there was a chemical toilet of sorts, but you could only, if you got permission from the captain, you were allowed to go.
And if, what if he didn't give you permission?
And then you have to piss your pants. And it warmed you up for about 30 seconds, and then it froze thereafter. So.
But they were there for 9 to 11 hours.
I know,
so how did that happen?
Absolutely unbelievable. Just the experience of sitting in that place and listening to the stories and seeing the conditions that they had to fly in and how cramped, and they were doing this in pitch black.
So how did it feel in that bubble in the rear, as the rear gunner? Did he feel really exposed in there?
Totally exposed. I was trying to imagine what it would be like 25,000 feet up, looking down in the pitch black, or except for the explosions on the ground. Messerschmitts trying to shoot you down. So we're still the only people in the restaurant. So we get great personal service, and we're going for a starter of what is it?
Spicy parsnip soup.
Spicy parsnip soup, which looks great.
Which looks fantastic.
Let's get into it. And so for the main, we're going for
salmon tagliatelle, and it looks yummy.
And a creamy sauce.
And garlic bread.
Yeah. And I'm going for the chef's signature dish of lamb Wellington. Malbec. Excellent. So if you're visiting the Lincoln area, and specifically the aviation centre, would we recommend a stay at the Petwood Hotel?
The Petwood Hotel is in the small town of Woodall Spa, about 30 minutes out of Lincoln, and was once the home of 617 Squadron, the Dambusters. It's also only a 20-minute ride from the Lincolnshire Aviation Heritage Centre, where Bry experienced a taxi in the fabulous and famous Lancaster Bomber. Our room was 232 on the first floor and overlooked the front of the hotel, car park and surrounding countryside. It was a lovely room, very large, bright, with lots of storage, a flat-screen TV, decent Wi-Fi and an ensuite with a big tub, which was very much appreciated after a long soggy ride. The room had a super king-size bed which, to be fair, looked significantly more comfortable than it actually was. And we did wonder if maybe the mattress was a relic from the Dambuster days. We ate in the main restaurant both nights and decided on the bar menu on the first evening. The soup of the day, burger and salmon tagliatelle were nice and reasonably priced, and there was a good choice of beer and wine. Bry opted for the restaurant's signature dish of lamb Wellington on night 2, which, to be honest, was disappointing. Definitely more Wellington than lamb, in fact hardly any lamb, and not cheap at £34.50. All the staff were lovely, the ladies on reception were welcoming and helpful, and the bar and restaurant staff very friendly and efficient. The large tarmac car park was right outside the main reception. There was plenty of space for the bikes and it was very safe. The hotel had a great atmosphere with lots of memorabilia from war years, and particularly in the officers' mess where we had pre-dinner drinks. If you love history, or if you just want to stay somewhere with character during a visit to Lincolnshire, the Petwood is a great choice.
So do you think the Petwood Hotel is value for money? Thumbs up or thumbs down? Breakfast at the Petwood Hotel is coming soon. But mine's already arrived, full English. I must admit, it looks pretty good. Don't normally go for this kind of stuff, but... And for the lady, we've got... What is it?
Extra healthy, avocado on toast with scrambled eggs.
Perfect. Healthy. A final look around the stunning grounds before we head back home.